Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the CJRB Bolt with their, I believe they call this the Recoil lock. So here's what they did. It's a crossbar lock, but it's got a tab on the back of it. After playing with this, there's two things. I'm going to do the full review on this. This is not a very expensive knife. I'll link it in the description and you can check it out. Two things. I immediately thought pretty much every crossbar lock should have this little tab like this. For what they were trying to do, I think they did it really well, right? It feels not exactly the same, but similar to, you know, like your Civivi Vision FG, right? This is a super lock designed by Snex, and I'll tell you right now, it is superior to this. The crossbar lock is fine. The weakness is Omega springs, obviously, but it feels similar to that sort of sensation. Crossbar locks, I think, for the most part, would probably be made at least more. A lot of people say it's more fidgety, but some people might just prefer to manipulate their locking system like that, so that might be more beneficial. It also kind of made me think like, well, I just want it to be the super lock. So this is CJRB's own thing. And I remember a long time ago, they had this, you know, like back years ago, they had this crossbar locking system that had this tab on the back, and it appeared for a little bit and then it like went away. So I don't know if they've been working on it the whole time, but that's essentially what it is here. And it's kind of neat, right? I've got more to say on that topic, and we'll talk about it here in a second. Thanks so much to CJRB for letting me share this with everybody. Like I said, it's linked in the description. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's get through specs here real quick. Overall length of the Bolt coming in at 7.5 inches, or slightly under. It's like 7.45. Blade length 3 1/4. Cutting edge 2.85. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. Up against the 8010 and my own Excalibur. It is smaller, but I wouldn't call it a small knife. It's kind of a medium-sized knife. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. Much closer, obviously, to the size of the Para 3, but it has more cutting edge. Just a little bit, but definitely more. Let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. It's probably closest to the Hogue Deca out of everything here that we're comparing to. Let's go ahead and talk about action. How's the action? For a knife that runs on bearings, the action's all right. It's pretty good. As far as like manipulation goes, yeah, I think the thumb studs are domed off nicely. They're small but easy to get a hold of and, you know, deploy. The Omega springs are pretty strong, so the action is snappy. Doing a reverse flick is a bit of a problem. I feel like my finger runs into these mechanisms here. So some people might, depending on where your hand is when you do that and how you like to do it, your experience might be better than mine, but you can do it. The pulling the tab back here, I do like that. I think that that's probably a lot of the time how I would like, you know, if I were to EDC this all the time, I would probably use the thumb stud to deploy it and use this to retract it. So it's kind of neat that we have all these little options here to manipulate it. Winter Blade Co. has done something similar. You know, there's a lot of different locking systems that operate similarly, right? On the note, on the topic, right, Microtech's RAM lock. The reason that I find this to be a superior system is because it does not use Omega springs. It uses a coil spring. Now, it's not exactly the same thing as a crossbar lock, but it's pretty close. I don't know what so many companies have against finding a way to implement a crossbar lock or similar system with a coil spring. I don't understand. Benchmade did it with the Anthem. You can't copy that exactly, apparently, because that has a patent. Spyderco did it with the Manix. They did a coil spring and a caged ball bearing, right? And Microtech has done it with the RAM lock. I don't know why other companies are just like, no, we have to, Omega springs, we have to. Probably because it's already implemented, it's cheap, right? I'm at the point now with crossbar locking, like, because the crossbar lock itself is a good lock. It's just that Omega springs are not incredibly dependable over the long term. So either companies need to be mailing these things or sending them with multiple sets of additional Omega springs, or just implement a new system. Like, there are so many locking systems coming out that are making the crossbar lock obsolete, right? Like, it still works just fine, but there are so many systems that are better. And this tab on the back of this makes me go, oh, neat. I wish it was one of those better locks, right? That's kind of where I'm at with that. It's still fine, though. If you own this knife, right, maybe you're watching this video for reaffirmation. It's okay. You still made a good choice. I think this is a great knife, right? But these systems, these Omega springs, right, they're not super dependable long term. Let's do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's pretty thin. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This was a very easy knife to carry. Obviously, very compact. Not super huge, not super heavy. Materials. We are looking at AR RPM 9. Again, I know why you guys use it, CJRB. It's because you guys make it, and it probably saves you a ton of money. But you're kind of marking these things up as if they're in 14C28N or some of those other popular steels. And it's like, if you guys are making this stuff, you're obviously going with your own steel because it's an opportunity to make additional money, right? I mean, don't mark it up so much. Like, these are, this one in particular is like quite a bit higher than what I expected it to be. It's not bad. I'm just saying, right? AR RPM 9 is fine. It's nothing special. I think it is outclassed by many steels in a lot of different ways. When we're talking about sub $100 knives, like the steels you typically find here, it's outclassed by a lot of stuff, right? This is a Sprayform 440B or Sprayform 9CR 18 MOV, which is all right there in the same ballpark, right? So, okay, right? But yeah, and then we have G10, and you have steel liners here. So what does it weigh? Let's go ahead and weigh it. Sorry, this room is where the water comes through. So if it sounds like somebody is peeing, they're not. It's just the water going through the room. 2.8 ounces, so it is definitely on the lighter side, and your balance is right behind the pivot, which is great. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description. It talks about the tools I use on this channel. That's T9. I believe we are looking at T8 for the pivot, and then probably T6 for the body screws. No, actually T8. Very good. Thank you very much, CJRB. That's really nice. T6 for the body screws. This is a crossbar lock with Omega springs. It is not super fun to take apart and put back together, but it's far from impossible. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you'll be good to go. Let's measure the blade stock thickness here real quick. Probably 115, 110, maybe even thinner. 104. Very, very thin. Okay. Meat and potatoes time. This is a really straightforward knife. It is another bug out-ish knife. We say that not because everybody's actually copying the bug out, but that's because that's the knife that everybody's brain goes to. People forget that the bug out was not the first knife to have that shape. In fact, the knife was the first knife to have that shape. It's the most classic, shape of knife that there is. It's just drop point basic handle. So most knives look like that, but the bug out just became extremely popular for being thin and compact. So, but anyways, yeah, that's the look there. Ergonomics, it's good. Does this get in the way while you're gripping it? I don't feel like it does, but I feel like some people would complain. Like, this area is not super sensitive to my hand. But other people, like, I said the same thing about the Demco 8020. I was like, it doesn't bother me. And other people are like, oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. So that doesn't mean that I'm right and they're wrong. It means, maybe that some people are just more sensitive in that area. Speaking of knives that operate that way, that have coil springs, the Demco Shark Lock. Now, the way that the Shark Lock engages the lock face is different. These Shark Lock knives are ridiculously strong, but if you've ever taken one of these apart, there's a coil spring in there. The coil spring is far more reliable than Omega springs. It's got to be like 10 to 20 times, maybe 50 times more reliable than Omega springs. I like the way that the crossbar lock engages. The way that it engages is strong. I just think we need to get rid of omega springs. I don't think it would be that expensive to implement something that engages the same way as the crossbar lock, but utilizes a coil spring. Perhaps the reason that we haven't seen this yet is the same reason that I wasn't able to implement this system on my Excalibur. If you guys didn't know, I tried to put a crossbar lock with a coil spring in this knife because I loved the Benchmade Anthem so much. And the Benchmade Anthem, the special thing about it is that it's an integral with a crossbar lock, but the crossbar lock doesn't have omega springs. It has a coil spring. I've always loved that because then you get the benefit, right? The left and right handed, the ease of manipulation, the dependability, the durability, the longevity, you get all of that. It's all the benefits and none of the downsides. But there was a patent on it. We couldn't do it. That might be why we don't see exactly that. Crossbar locking systems with coil springs. It just makes me even more irritated that Benchmade themselves will not utilize that patent. Did somebody make it? Like, I just don't understand. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, this gives me that same, it's like, oh, cool. It's fun. It's convenient. It's easy to manipulate. But it's just more, I know for a fact that this will outlast this. Probably 10 times over. Have to keep coming back and replacing omega springs if you use it all the time, right? I can use this and throw it around. I just whatever, right? I'm not worried that the spring's going to go. This, I'm like, you get it wet, you got to blow it out because those omega springs, you can always buy the omega springs cheap and replace them, but that's just annoying. I don't want to have to do that, right? Now, ironically, I'll admit something. Personally, I have never broken an omega spring. This knife in particular, the Ritter Hogue, has been deployed on every single review on this channel. I have well over 2,000 reviews, meaning that this knife, bare minimum, has been deployed 2,000 times. That's real. That's actually true. And I've never had those omega springs snap. Now, this isn't in an environment where the omega springs are really, like they're not getting wet, there's no debris in there, right? So that could have something to do with it. But not only have I never broken an omega spring, right? Same with like the Hogue, like the Deca, the Benchmade Bug Out, like a lot of these knives get deployed a lot. They're just size comparison knives, right? So use is obviously going to speed that up. But I've never actually had one break. But I hear all the time people have issues with omega springs, right? So that's kind of why I'm coming down on it. As a tool, will this work really well? Yeah, the jimping's good. The ergonomics are good. The edges, like their chamfering's really nice. The blade geometry is also very nice. We've got nice tip, right? The edge is good. Fit and finish is good across the board. Like there's nothing bad here at all. You have a lanyard hole. You have ambidextrous pocket clip mounting positions, so that's nice. Lockup, as you saw, was completely solid. We have a little stop pin back there. No blade play up, down, left to right. No lock stick. No pivot lash. A nice snap into the closed position. This is a fine knife. It's not really doing anything special other than being a crossbar locking knife that has this little horn on the back of it, and that's neat. And I feel like crossbar locking systems utilizing omega springs would probably be improved across the board having this horn, but I think you should just skip that step and make an entirely different locking system so that people don't have to worry about omega springs. If you are out camping, hiking, hunting, fishing, and this is your dedicated pocket knife, and you snap a spring, will the knife still operate on one omega spring? Yes, but it's got half the tension holding that crossbar lock in place. And if that one goes, then the knife just doesn't work. And I feel like at that point, if you're running on one omega spring, now one spring is doing the work of two springs, and it's only a matter of time before the other one goes. That's a huge problem, right? Because then it's a useless pocket knife. And those are the environments that people are carrying these knives in, especially like the cheaper stuff. Those are definitely the knives that people are carrying out in those dirty, sort of rugged environments. So those systems really, need to be beefed up. And I just feel like the knife world is ready to let go of omega springs. People are bored with it. We have all the data that we need to show that omega springs are just not the most reliable system. Yeah, the vast majority of people are not having problems with them, but as far as all the locking systems out there goes, all the failures that can occur, I hear more about broken Omega springs than anything else, and I'm not sure why so many companies are just desperate to hang on to this and plunge locks, right? Probably because they're easy. It's the same system. It's copy paste, put it on a new model, right? It's cheap to make, I would venture to guess, but if there's a way around the Benchmade Anthem, coil spring crossbar lock patents, like if there's a way around, clearly there has to be. Microtech is essentially doing it, right? You can't copy Microtech because they'll come after you, right? You can't do that. But something needs to happen, where we don't see these. It will probably be the compression lock that does it, or somebody will mass produce something very similar to the Shark lock or the Super lock, right? That's probably where we're going to be. As it sits, is this a recommendable knife? It's $66. I think it's about $15 higher than it should be. There are other knives that are doing exactly the same thing. I mean, Migron makes, in my opinion, better products for less. Like, for example, the crossbar lock Moyarl is better in every way. And I don't need that little tab back there that much, right? This is 14C28N, contoured micarta. We got PVD. We got a titanium clip, right? I want to say this knife is $10 less. The steel's better. I think CJRB is shooting themselves in the foot a little bit by not utilizing any other steels in the budget territory versus their own AR RPM 9. So yeah, it's fine. I think that this is a cheap knife that I like. I don't think it's very special, but I think if you buy it, you still made a good choice. That's what I think. That's pretty much it today, guys. Thanks again to CJRB for sending this in. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do of course have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.